Africa Day is being celebrated across the continent today. In South Africa, activities are taking place under the theme, A Year of Nelson Mandela, Building a Better Africa and a Better World. The Organization of African Unity, the forerunner to the African Union, was formed in Ethiopia on this day in 1963. The OAU was dissolved and replaced by today's African Union. That was in 2002. Among the events taking place today, President Ramaphosa will host the Diplomatic Corps in celebration of Africa Day today, and the Executive Director for UN Women, the former Deputy President of South Africa, Phumzile Mnangagwa, will deliver the annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture at the University of South Africa in Pretoria this evening. Well, it's all systems go for the EFF Africa Day rally at Jubilee Park in the Tshwane CBD. EFF Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema is expected to address the rally under the theme, Africa, We Are One. 55 years since the Organization of African Unity was formed and 14 years since it turned into the African Union, South Africa's fastest growing opposition party will weigh in on its vision of a united Africa. EFF leader Julius Malema recently joined the Pan-African Parliament, which sits in Midrand, where he promised to turn around the powerless legislature. He's expected to weigh in on issues including economic growth and migration. Well, let's get a bit more now from our reporter Tshwane. She's at that EFF Africa Day really ahead of the address that we're expecting from Julius Malema this afternoon. And Tshwane, good afternoon to you. If we look at the place that Julius Malema has formed for himself on the political platform of our country and the lessons he's taken from African politics to sort of form his rhetoric, his agenda for the EFF, it's quite significant that he's speaking today, is it not? What do we expect from his address?
Well, Natasha, I think let me set the scene for you in terms of what I saw since I got here, which lends to what you're saying. The stage itself is branded with messages of Africa, we are one, Africa united. And earlier on, Black Panther was playing on the screens here in Jubilee Park. But as I walked around, I saw older people, an 85-year-old woman and another one 75 years old, and they say that they have decided to join the EFF because they feel that it is the party that looks after the needs of Africans in Africa. But also I spoke to people from various countries, including Cameroon, where a president who has been in power for 36 years is going to elections again this year. But if you look around also, this is expected to be quite a shindig here in Pretoria, because if I can just look around here, if I can just ask Taviso to pan around, you will see that pop sensation Rigo Madlingozi is one of the people who will perform here, including Sipho Gazi, including Dr. Dumi. So this is the kind of vibe and feel that we have here. But Natasha, let me talk to one of the people who is representing African countries here from the Central Africa Republic Embassy. Now, we know that the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF is a member of the Pan-African Parliament. He has spoken about divisions. Now, in the Central African Republic, it is not Anglophone and Francophone divisions, it is religious divisions. Tell us about that.
Thank you very much for having me. Actually, in Central African Republic, there is no real divisions between Muslims and Christians because we have always been living together. In my own family, my grandparents are, for example, Muslims. My parents are Christians, I'm myself Christians. So it's really an economic division, because actually what happened is that the Central African Republic went through its darkest hour 5 years ago. On the 24th March of 2013, where there was a coup, actually, by a coalition of rebels coming mainly from the north and the east of the country. And actually, after that event, the religious event or the confessional divide was used for them to loot the country. This is really what is happening, but there is no such thing as a religious or confessional division.
What is your message as Central Africa to Africa on Africa Day?
Okay, Africa Day is the celebration of this very day 55 years ago, 1963, when actually 32 of the leaders of the continent, among them Musajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana and Mwalimu Julius Nyerere from Tanzania, sat in Addis Ababa to create the Organization of African Unity. So the message of this day is actually a message of unity. When they were leaving this place, actually Dr. Kwame Nkrumah wanted one Africa with one leader, as one country, with one army, one currency, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, this didn't happen yet, but we have the Agenda 2063 ahead of us. So the message of Africa Day is really a message of unity, because if we're not united, definitely we won't go very far.
Well, there you have it, Natasha. A message from Central African Republic saying if Africa is not united, we're not going very far. But of course, the much-awaited address by the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF is expected about an hour from now at around 5 to 1. So we will be expecting him to weigh in on issues including migration on the continent, but also those issues of divisions, whether it is along religious, economic, or even colonial lines. Natasha?
Tshwane, thank you very much for that update. We'll let you get back to things there. Our Tshwane Gatani live for us from Jubilee Park.